Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ch64 Chats. This is Chats number 15. And being the month of June, I am going to say Happy Pride, everybody. It is currently Pride. And I think it might even be Pride weekend. I can't remember from the last time I was in America because that was a while ago. As we know, we have our wonderful Channel 64 cast, or a selection thereof, and the fantastic Rustic Dragon from Autocraft is joining us.
Yay!
I was going to say tonight. I'm going to probably refer to a lot of things as tonight because it is night for me, but that's going to be very odd for all of you. So, too bad. This is my show. All right, welcome everybody. We are here to talk about a very interesting topic in Minecraft, and that is that of inspiration. I think that inspiration is something that we all go through highs and lows of, and definitely bears a lot of talking about. I think one of the best ways to start is there anything from anyone here that really kicks off the idea of what inspiration is for you in Minecraft?
For me, it's when I try to sleep. Suddenly, all the ideas come. And then I just sit there with a notebook and don't sleep. But yeah, just write down every single idea and then can pick and choose what ones I want in the future.
It's crazy how that happens, because I was just on the way to work yesterday, not even remotely thinking about content, and the next thing I knew, I had a whole storyline for a side project that I wasn't even thinking about when I left.
See, I have the same thing happen while I'll be at work or while I'm in the shower, when I don't have the opportunity to do anything about it, and by the time I've forgotten. That is possibly the hardest part about it.
Screaming, notebook, paper!
Legit. Actually.
For me, inspiration is, it is barely something that I'm trying to force. It's barely me looking for inspiration. It's just like doing whatever, and then suddenly, you know, it hits me and it's like, oh yes, this. And then I'm just dedicated to it.
Oh yeah, I recognize that too. I usually get mine from, I hear someone on the server do something, or like have a little bit of a plot in their story, and it springs an idea for me, and I just go off on a bender.
I think there's something to be said there about committing to that too, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And they can, like, sometimes the storylines, they can get quite extensive. So committing to that inspiration can be kind of tricky when you're bouncing between people.
Commit to the bit.
For me, I find inspiration pretty much everywhere. It's like it finds me. Like as you all said, like sometimes you're just chilling or doing something else, and then it pops up. But I also find a lot of inspiration in other TV shows and in TV shows, movies, other games. Pretty much everywhere, there's something where I'm like, that would be cool in Minecraft.
And that's probably one of the bigger things for like my chat notes that Arrington made me do under threat of death. I was thinking a lot about that. How does it translate? But we'll get to that a little bit later. Oh, Siri has decided to chat with me.
Welcome, Siri, to the Channel 64 Chats.
Hi, Siri.
Do we have another chair? Yeah.
Apparently, but it's AI, unfortunately, and they're never particularly reliable. So I think that all of us on the server have been, particularly for this season, have taken this different path to inspiration. I know, Martin, you and I are both very, probably me so more so, but we're both being very inspired by other video games. And like,
absolutely,
I think that that those elements really pull forward our story. So we've got Harwood, who's got the Paw Patrol thing going, and I'm pretty sure his kids are right around that age. So like he's getting his influence from his outside immediate family world. And Arrington, you're also video game motivated. People just recently shared with us in our creator Discord books that they had bought that were series of architecture books and whatnot, I think that it's really easy to find the places to get our inspiration, but translating it is really tough.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's kind of the best part though too.
I mean, yeah, that's the challenge, but it's a fun challenge.
I'm trying to like find a way to steer into this without like completely spoiling everything that I've got planned for my next autograph season. But yeah, I'm also absolutely taking inspiration from games, and that translating is so hard because some games just have like these features that you're like, I kind of want to implement that, but I'm so limited to the actual features that Minecraft has to offer.
So so that we're not spoiling your next season, Rusty, how did you find that your character for this season of being the troll inspired you to the building that you've done?
So that was actually kind of a very difficult process because and that is kind of the downside for my own, like, if I have an idea and I have inspiration, I stick to it no matter what, but sometimes it doesn't quite work out. So the original plan before we found a seed was that I would do a troll character because I'm a little bit of a troll, and that would be translated into like building under a bridge because trolls kind of like live under bridges. But then we didn't really have a seed that allowed me to make a bridge early on, so it became a cave thing, and then I kind of built something more cute in that cave. So in builds, it didn't end up really translating as much as I originally was hoping.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely relate with that. I quite literally have put a note for myself about the intersection between when Minecraft doesn't always translate from maybe physical sketches that we've done or the picture that we have in our mind, and how we have to then adapt to doing that. Do you think that you had, in that respect, was there you were certain with like the dragon that you made? Were you pretty confident on how you were going to do that, or was that a we'll see what happens and take it from there?
No, not at all. But the dragon was an on a whim thing, actually. So the original base design had a big crystal on top of it that I actually even showed to some people, and everybody was just kind of like, it's it kind of looks like your base is a character from The Sims, just having a crystal above that. I was like, well, okay, nobody likes it, and I'll just do something else. And I decided to design a dragon, and it took me only 2 days to actually get that concept into reality.
That's impressive. I mean, we have another person sitting right across from me here that does some quite impressive builds in short times. Archie?
There's a couple of things that have come up that I'd actually like to talk over. Firstly, with sticking to an idea and stuff, I'm very adamant that as soon as I pick an idea from the list, I'm going to make it work. It's that simple. And as far as translating inspiration into game, I view it more as I get a feel from whatever inspires me, and then I don't look at it again. I just take that feeling and then go into the game and work from there. And I find for me, it works out a quicker process doing it that way, because then I just go into my general spin on making builds and just get to work, and half the time make a much bigger build than I was intending, and kind of deal with that when we come to survival.
I mean, that is that does play into it a lot as well, doesn't it? Our capabilities in creative versus capabilities in survival. Martin, you Yeah, obviously you've taken the Final Fantasy route and or not entirely, but inspiration from. And in your episode you said that the church wasn't intended as like a full copy from the church, but I know that when I first saw screenshots I knew exactly what it was despite the Final Fantasy conversations that we've had. Did you like how Archie sort of, you know, took one look at it and stepped away? Did you keep reference pictures and make it your own, or did you find that you were just going off memory and finding something that you felt worked?
It was something in between of that. So I did a little bit of research before because I haven't played the original games in more than a decade, I think. So I looked at some pictures of the original church, and I looked at some pictures of the remake church, and decided what elements I wanted to keep from which one. And then I kind of just went my own way from there, knowing that I wouldn't be able to make a replica of either of them because scale in Minecraft, like it's impossible to. Well, it's not impossible. Absolutely not. Anything is possible. But I had to, in the scale I was building, I had to do some like sacrifices. Like there's only one room in my church, and there are plenty of rooms in the other church. So I left that out to get what do you say? Get more of a feeling and the vibe correct. Like we have the flower bed, but that's about it.
But that's the emotional connection to it, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and as
and
long
the hole
as
in the roof.
Yeah, so bringing in that emotional connection into that inspiration really can lift the build, even if you're skipping parts that you might see as necessary from an original that we're trying to copy. And Leone, you I know that you do a lot of the sort of Victorian the I wouldn't call it cottagecore particularly, but where does that inspiration come from? I know that you're a Sims player, a big Sims player. Do you draw from that, or is that more of a separate entity and you try and create a different expression within Minecraft?
My Sims, I'd say, is very different. I haven't been enjoying Sims for a long time, so I actually haven't built anything in The Sims in a long time. My Minecraft is very separate from that, and my building process is very different from that. But yes, I would call a lot of my style cottagecore. I am really inspired by the Victorian era, the Regency era, the Georgian style. Like I just kind of like the stereotypical old English style builds. They've always been really pretty to me, so I build what I'm attracted to. But for example, my starter base this season was a lot more modern, more modern focused because it was inspired by the concept of Barbie and the new Barbie movie that came out last year. Which has also been like a huge part of my life. So when I draw inspiration, it's usually from something that means a lot to me and something that I just think is really pretty.
No, and that's fair enough. And I know that when you're sorry, I've just disconnected, even though I'm apparently still on screen. I will hopefully be back. But it's I know that you have shared in the past with us, before you sort of start building your or showing your sketches and whatnot, you will show us the skins that you're making for your sketches. So do you feel that like you get yourself into a character through your skins and then put yourself into a place where you're more in a headspace to generate those builds?
Back when I used to make a lot of skins, yes. I really enjoyed matching my skin to my build, or matching my skin to my to the vibe or the character that I was working with. But lately I've just found it easier to focus on the build itself rather than procrastinating by making skins. Oh, there he goes. I've realized that a lot of that skin making process was also just procrastinating the building part. And now I've luckily commissioned a skin which I feel matches many different vibes. and I can always alter it if necessary. But that, yeah, I've changed the way I approach things since I stopped making the skins for myself.
Yep, fair enough. No, I will get back to procrastination, because that is something that I have sort of on the list, although in very different words. And I'm back. But whilst I am talking about, well, it's kind of a combination of all of it, really. Arrington, you in your sushi getup, sushi chef getup, you have that combination of skins that will drive you forward week to week, and you've got the video game influence from Dredge and stuff. Where do you sort of find that correlating point?
You know, we've had a range of how often we look at the pictures and how we take the inspiration. For Dredge in particular, it was one where the art style is very different from Minecraft. It's not blocky. It's very kind of smooth and painting-esque. And so I looked at it the whole time, because for me, the challenge is converting that from that painting style to Minecraft, and then make it in the scale that I like, as Martin said. And I did that along several lines. I didn't originally think that converting something from a video game was something I wanted to do, because I wanted my own builds to be original in my builds. But the reality is, like, turning that into your style brings so much into it, and then taking that beyond into tying it into my story for the season, and then my story ties into the skins, and the skins kind of tell a story in their own. And for those particularly, I get a lot of inspiration from like Legos. I know that's on the list as a point of opportunity, and I think Lego characters, the simplistic nature and scale and size makes it really fun to translate some of those minifigs into Minecraft skins. So I get a lot of joy out of that as well.
I mean, we often change, like, as kids at least, we would change. I don't play with Lego still at all. It's not me.
Lies.
Yes. You know, it'll be as simple as change a hat or, you know, helmet or whatever, and it's a completely new character. I know that stepping away from Minecraft and to Legos, I would have an entire personality behind just the head, and that's essentially the same as what we do with our skins, isn't it? Like, the head is what remains and the rest of the body will change.
It's a really good point. I mean, that's really how I've treated my Minecraft skin.
Yeah, well, you know, we recognize your face. It is a very beautiful face.
Oh, look at that thing. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
And I mean, I know for myself, I think that even like this very quick stage that I set up this evening for us to do this here, I drew inspiration not only from like the style that I was working with, but also like I quite literally almost duplicated Martin's water tower, because it has it. I looked at it from a perspective of it has the design and flow that matches with what I'm doing.
I thought we were at my water tower.
No,
I just noticed it wasn't.
Well, there you go.
Well done.
I went over there to have a look at how you did it and thought, oh, there's a table and chairs in here. Maybe we should just... No. Like, don't be lazy. Actually put something together. It'll be fine. Can't take that long, right? Half an hour later. But I think that when we are working with a style and an idea in mind, it does definitely help make a flow, and inspiration does work so much on that flow that we have. But that kind of brings up that next question of, and Archie, I feel like maybe you're a candidate for something like this. I know that it's happened to me in the past, but when you when your ideas aren't necessarily translating into the blocks, do you find that is a cause of burnout? Like, can your inspiration, if it's not going the way you'd hoped, is that something that could potentially be a burnout scenario for you?
Absolutely, but I would say workload is more my case of burnout, is just taking on way too much in one go. As far as translating what's in my head into block form, I quite enjoy that challenge, and I'm finding over time it's an easier process. I mean, it's actually kind of linked to the whole thing with skins, because I don't really change my skin, but I always have a story reason for a build, and it doesn't need to be an elaborate story. It could be something very, very basic. And once I have that personality to a build, it becomes easier to translate it into block form, because I think about, well, what fits the personality of that build? Does it need to be very ornate? Does it need to be more simple? Does it need to be really weathered? Does it need to be cute and colourful, etc.? That really helps nail down the whole process.
So not even necessarily running a character of your own, but giving a character trait to the build that you're making.
Absolutely, absolutely, because I have been very storyline invested on this server, but prior to that, I never explored that. And whenever it came down to a build, like if I was going to make a flower shop, I'd think about the person who runs that flower shop, what kind of person they are, who visits it, stuff like that. And that helps to translate the style.
And you're also reflecting that by bringing in the armor stand work that you do. So you're bringing the life into that emotion, so that you can reflect that emotion for anybody else that comes to it.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely adore the armor stand mod. I think it's a perfect way of adding more life to a build. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of movement in Minecraft, so you have to inject personality in any way you can, and armor stands for me is an ideal way of going about it.
Awesome. Rusty, I feel like I'm leaving you out. I could talk for probably days, weeks, maybe even months about Channel 64, because obviously that's where I'm at. But for yourself, do you ever find yourself with that, like, it's because we work with blocks and limited spaces, and this cube only occupies these things, do you find that when you have those inspirational random thoughts that you want to bring into Minecraft, that you just don't have the capability because of our limitations with the blocks?
Actually, no, I have quite the opposite. So I'm a firm believer in having restrictions basically just be very beneficial for creativity. Personally, I'm a communications and multimedia design major, so to be fair, like design and thinking around the limitations you have is kind of the thing that I study, or well, part of the stuff that I study. So for me, it's kind of a challenge, right? Like, I want to do something. How can I do that with the limitations that I've been given? And sometimes it is slightly frustrating, and sometimes you just like instantly know the answer, and it is very, it's very gratifying. Like, for example, the thing, there's two basically storylines that I'm going to be focusing on in my next season. One is very like game related, and the other one is very personal life related. And in both cases, neither of those have anything to do with Minecraft itself. And I have to figure out, like, okay, how am I going to be telling this story with the limitations that I have. And for the game one, I've been working on that for the last couple of months, and I figured out how to do like literally everything finally, and it's very gratifying feeling. And now that game is updating in a few days, and they're gonna be adding something that I'm like, I have no clue whatsoever how I'm going to be introducing that. So I know that I have a little bit of a challenge there, and that's exciting to me. And as for the personal life stuff, it is more it's more vague story, so that gives me a lot more freedom to do whatever it is that I end up doing there. So no, I like it. I like that we have these limitations, and there's a lot of people that say like, oh, we want vertical slabs because then we have more options, and where I definitely wouldn't be against vertical slabs, I don't feel we need them, right? Like we have enough to work with to overcome those limitations.
To be fair, I am one of those people that says, I would love to have vertical slabs or concrete slabs and stairs and stuff, but I like what you're saying makes so much sense. We are already very block heavy. There's I don't know the exact numbers, but there's over 1,000 blocks that we have to choose from, and maybe building back in the early days of Minecraft was easier because we didn't have to contemplate choice and contemplate design and shading and all of these things. That didn't have to happen because we didn't have the opportunity to have it. And now that we do have it, we maybe feel a bit more pressured to have the beautiful build and make sure that the textures aren't flat and whatnot. And we definitely see, I'm not saying that that we want to have just flat color across the board, but there's definitely a place for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think that's definitely something that we see a lot in our the bigger creators, where you take someone like B-Dubs, and he's an absolute master of something like shading because he understands the base artistic qualities that you can apply between whether it's a photograph or real life or a painting, and how you can translate that with just using color rather than anything else that we worry about. And I think that it's not necessarily a bad thing for us to look at the bigger creators if they are doing those things that we want to learn better. I think that we as smaller creators, or we don't say that word, we don't say small creators because that puts us down, but as lowest subscriber, yes, up and coming creators, thank you, perfect. As up and coming creators, we tend to if we're looking at these people and we're feeling inspired, we sort of go, oh, but I can't do that, because then people will be like, oh, but you copied B-Dubs, you copied Good Times with Scar, or whoever. And I think that we really need to give ourselves a pass, because quite often the larger creators will look at the up-and-coming creators and go, oh, I like what they did. And they don't give it a second thought. So why do we?
No, it's a mix of more tools in the tool belt.
Exactly. And I think that that's how we need to approach it almost. We need to approach any content that we're absorbing, whether that's, Minecraft or other video games, wherever we're drawing our inspiration. It's about the tools that we get into the tool belt rather than how they got there or who they got there from. Accepting that we're allowed to be inspired by somebody, and that's not copying.
It can go back to editing though too, because there are some styles that are new and crazy and in your face, and right off the bat, I know watching some of the newer Minecraft styles, I was like, that's too much. I don't like that. And when I did try versions of it, but my versions in the way that I wanted to do, so specifically my intro, I switched quite a bit. I think it was late season 2 into the kind of in your face of like, here's what we're going to do. But I did it in a way that I liked that didn't show too much of what was actually coming and more showed kind of a jokey way of like, here's what we're doing. And I really enjoyed it because while it was the new style, it was done in a way that was my style, and I enjoyed that a lot. And I think there's a lot to be said about taking those new tools and using them in the way that only you would.
Absolutely, totally agree. It's bringing your own flair to things is it's a journey to get to that point as well.
Well, as far as like looking at larger creators and stuff, I mean, I was obviously hugely inspired by the likes of B-Dubs, Scar, Efo, etc., Smallish Beans, Pearlescent Moon, but I took it the same way that I would take inspiration looking at a piece of art or a movie or a game, in that I took the feeling from it and went away and created my own style. And I would say my building does have a very distinct style that is different to what they do, but pays like homage in certain aspects. And I think anything is open for inspiration, as long as you're not copying, as long as you're making it your own, that you're just exploring the possibilities that can come from certain techniques and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And I think that we also, there's only so many combinations of blocks. There is a lot, obviously, but there's only so many combinations of blocks and shapes. So we're going to always at some point see potential crossover with something that someone else has done, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we set out to replicate. Like, we may have seen it in passing and not even realized that we've drawn that inspiration, and it's stuck in our minds, but we could potentially be building on something that we saw, and it will come out similarly but not be the same intentionally. And I think there's a lot to do with intent behind content.
That is a very, very familiar feeling. Like, often when we take inspiration from places, we try to give proper credit if it's if it gets too close to a concept that we've seen somewhere before. And we've had a few instances on Autocrat where somebody took inspiration from something that they just saw in passing like a long time ago, and they're like, it turned out so similar, but I just don't know where I saw it, right? And you've got people saying like, I took inspiration from something, from somewhere, someone, I don't know who it is. If you find it, please let me know in the comments. And yeah, it's taking inspiration from other creators, whether they're larger or whether they're up-and-coming creators. And I think up-and-coming creators are way more interesting to take inspiration from, because they have their own peculiarities, and larger creators tend to have it down to a certain system that has been to some degree copied so many times before that, yeah, I forgot my train of thought there, but I hope you understand what I mean.
Oh, no, absolutely, yeah.
No, I understand, yeah. I would like to add something to that too, because we're talking a lot about drawing inspiration building-wise from larger creators, smaller creators, or up-and-coming. But I also drew a lot of inspiration for my personality traits I hope everyone who plays with me here knows that in real life, Martin Smartin does not exist. I am not Martin Smartin when I go to work every day. I don't behave like a complete maniac in front of my colleagues. But I drew inspiration from, you have, again, B-Dubs is very good at playing on the crazy side of things and going to the extreme with his characters. And I kind of do the same. And I drew a lot of inspiration from Keralis with a little bit of a potty mouth here, but trying to keep it nice as well. And also, playing on my accent, the Swedish accent. So not only build styles, but like the personality traits you can bring into your episodes when you're creating content. I like that too. I look at other creators and see like, oh, well, they did that funny. Maybe I can add that to me. And I try it out for a couple of episodes and see if it sticks. Mm-hmm. I think that's also a big thing, or a big part of making content.
I definitely have a content creator persona. I quite often will reflect on my own work and I'm like, oh, that was a bit much. Maybe I was coming off a bit strong. I would love to be a bit more chill. Sometimes I watch Tarek's videos and I'm like, man, he's so chill. I would love to be able to do that, but I think that my own content is driven forward by a more high energy character, and I need to keep that going for myself when I'm recording. Otherwise, I feel like I'm not doing what I do justice. But that's just me. Like, obviously, we all have our own personas. As you said, you don't go to work and be Martin Smart, and you go to work and you are you. But our content creator persona is definitely a different persona, because we can be whoever we want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Mostly I'm just chill, like Tarek.
I think it's fun how that persona then can inspire story, and then that story can inspire builds, and then it can inspire a whole season of things. I know specifically, looking at me right now, I'm in a mushroom outfit, and that was not in any part of the plan for this season. It's just, I started off, I thought, here's a funny bit, I'll go grab and sell mushroom soup, and the next thing you know, we're over a year into this, and I am making Moodle's Tower and selling sushi and mixing all of the things that I've thrown into this season into the personality and style and inspiration and story for this season.
Do you ever, and this is a question to anybody here, do you ever have like this slight idea that spirals out of control so much that at the end you're sitting back and it's like, yeah, that might have been a bit too much, maybe.
Officer Smartin, no.
I don't know about too much, but I do love how things can take on a life of their own. I know we've talked about it before, but just touching on the fact that like season 1 and beta became so much more than he was ever written to be, and it just happened because all of us were throwing inspiration into a pot and beta came out.
Yeah.
And he was that perfect blend for everybody. He was whatever we needed him to be.
We somehow always end up with something that kind of gets bigger than that was meant to be. For us in season 1, that was the Spawn Island flower, which was the flower that people would constantly steal from each other and hide in their own base. And in season 2, we had the Dragon King storyline, which was just somebody deciding that I was king all of a sudden, and apparently that was the entire season then. In season 3, we had the Mud Society and the Clay Order that was supposed to be a joke that ended up being like so much bigger than anybody was honestly really waiting for. And honestly, we're just now waiting what season 5 is going to be bringing, and I'm sure that it's going to be something absolutely ridiculous and we're going to have so much fun with.
And I think that quite often those little things, you can't plan for them. Like that's the part of inspiration that has to be completely organic, because we can't go out looking for it. You never know how an interaction is going to change things. I don't have a whole vertibird over my base anymore because I let the intrusive thoughts tell me place that TNT. Sometimes you just have to lean into it.
Yeah, I would say leaning into stuff is important, just for inspiration and for driving things forward. Like when Archie started with all the infractions and calling people to the police station to interrogate them. And it turned out also into a season-long bit from that for me.
Well, in regards to the judge characters, sometimes I do wonder if it's like gone too far in that, like, I don't want to be perceived as a villain as myself, if you get what I mean. But
yeah, right.
It's so fun playing the villain, and I've committed to it now. It's not going to be like dropped mid-season. You commit to an idea, you stick to it, and you take it to its fullest conclusion. And I have full intent to do that, and that's fun. It's scary, but fun.
And I think it's like you're knowing the times, quote unquote, knowing the times to when you're doing the bit, and other times when we're just hanging out. Like when I recently literally visited all the cast members to draw inspiration by saying, "Hey, make my interior palette for me," which will come out soon. Then you'll know what I'm talking about very shortly. But it was good to just be able to, like, yeah, I'm meeting you in your island where we had a prank tussle, but there was none of that having to be a bit for it. It was just two friends meeting to do a different bit. We don't always have to play that character that we've drawn onto ourselves, which is that's another nice part about the way that we do content, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as far as like the Judge Archie character goes, like I'm like, I want to see storyline progression in every episode, so I will push something to do with the Judge Archie character, but I still want like 75% of my episode to just be me, you know, but amped up to maybe 125% of what I normally am, and certainly more confident. But I think if I fully dedicated to the character for 100% of the episodes and stuff, that would create burnout by itself. I still want to be on a server playing with my friends, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I am being very vigilant about the time, and I'm sure Arrington is staring at his watch on and off as well. Shall we?
You're all good. Audience questions?
Yeah, I was just thought maybe let's throw over to the audience if anybody had any questions for anybody, or if anybody here had any questions they wanted to ask, or additional comments on things that I didn't think of to ask.
Shenko makes an interesting point. They say it does feel amazing to play a villain or anti-hero, although the larger creators have it rough because some people seem to take the storylines way too seriously. Which is probably something that we will face eventually. But I mean, that one of the perks of being a up and coming creator, as we say, I think, is that we can kind of do whatever we want and not be too worried.
So season 1, we made our main villain an actor. So Doc didn't actually make content. And it was because it was right around that time of Hermitcraft. I think it was the Mycelium Wars or something along that lines, where we were watching it unfold, where people were getting angry. And I said, I don't want to do that. I would rather have our villain be a side character or be somebody that doesn't make their own content, so they're not getting the hate. And so that's specifically what we did there.
And then I came along this season and just went, yeah, I'm going to annoy everyone.
Yeah, but do you know what, Archie? You've been a really lovable villain. When you've got a villain that you can interact with, and Sir in the chat did, or Sir R? Is it Sir or Sir R?
Sir. It's a pirates. Sir.
Said it a bit earlier. You know, it's you can take a starting point and then go further with something. So with Sir, he went from, you know, being a door-to-door COD salesman to all of a sudden it was religion. And I think that that, like, following those, like, just leaning into it, it means you're not only giving yourself a character persona, you're also giving other people something to fall onto or latch onto, contribute to. If you're not feeling inspired yourself, I think that having those elements works for everybody around, not just the one person. And Sir has also asked, when we are starting a new season, how do we come up with inspiration, or what kind of storyline we want to do? I think that
that's a great Rusty question.
Yeah, going into the new season soon, it's definitely a good Rusty season.
It's definitely a good Rusty season too. I'll say it right now. So it depends. There's of course like the individual side, how I do that, and how we do the server side. And on the server side, we are kind of trying to change the way that we've done that so far. So far, it's always been just like something occurs naturally, and that is how we we end up developing a storyline. This time we kind of want to have that sketched out a bit beforehand, just so we have a little bit of direction, because it does end up being very, it ends up being like very, very lore heavy at the start, and then it quiets down, and then somebody does something in this lore, and you kind of want to have more of a natural progression there. As for me, I draw my inspiration for my individual stuff basically by an idea first. So for season 3, for example, season 4, I need to get my numbers right. For season 4, I decided that I didn't really want to have anything planned out for the entire season, and I wanted to do it naturally and see how that developed. And the only thing I knew beforehand is I'm gonna be a troll. How I'm gonna do that is preferably something with a bridge, and then that's it. And then it turned out that was fun, but having a little bit more plans beforehand really helps out. And now for my next season, my personal storyline is based off of my real life, and I've gone through a lot of like changes and difficult situations, and it is really something that I'd like to turn into something positive rather than always negative, and that kind of develops into a storyline that doesn't really say what happened or why I feel a certain way, but it is a way to like kind of like let out my frustrations and make a very, very cool story in the meantime that other people get to experience. And it's gonna be,
and it can be cathartic as well, being able to get that. I mean, it's not physical, but a sort of a physicality out to emotions can definitely help to like. I mean, drive forward. Your life and the way that you're doing things. Moving on with things.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to have to Google what cathartic is because I'm Dutch, but absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
That's a hard word to explain.
It's hard.
It is a bit of a...
But I relate with that a lot with this season's storyline, because the whole Gerald thing is based in self-doubt, mental health issues, stuff like that, but manifested into a physical form. That and the whole pursuit of being a villain and stuff is like when you delve too much into those emotions and let it run your life, essentially. So that was the general basis for the start of the season, but within maybe 2-3 episodes of the season, I'd planned out my whole season-long arc, and I've already planned out probably half of next season as a follow-up to it, but done in a very different way, so I can explore different building opportunities and stuff. So that I work better when it's planned to quite a large extent, but it's still, like you said, it can be cathartic to brush up against like some issues. I don't want to deal with them fully in the public, but brush up against them.
Bringing it back to Channel 64 a little bit, I know we kind of touched on the autocraft method for story and inspiration. We're still learning for sure. We're figuring things out as we go. I know the first season, like I said, we had basically this written out story and everything followed on that actor as Doc. And so from that, we learned that putting everything on one other person who's also got a lot of things going on was difficult. We absolutely love Doc as a character, but he's got his own animations and things outside of it. And so we wanted to find more balance in season 2. And so season 2, we put a story that worked a lot more off of our availability to play villains and for the villain to kind of rotate through who it was. Season 3, we had a point where we thought, well, let's get settled in and then touch on story a few months in. And I don't know if we love that yet. I think, again, we're learning each season. I think next season we might go back to a blend of season 1 and 2, have a little more planning. I think the biggest thing with stories is just having an end goal. And from that end goal, everything leading up to it can be anything, because again, like everything is going to change throughout the season. Beta wasn't beta until the end of the season. Beta was never intended to be the kind of savior of season 1. We just got to the point where we just loved him so much.
Oh, genuinely, he pulled us out of it. It was he was supposed to just be the Doc's right hand and not this compassionate, self-aware robot. That just happened through all of us.
He wasn't even
feeding him
supposed to be smart.
necessity. Well, that was alpha.
Yeah, Beta was just supposed to be comic relief, but I mean, and I don't think you can write any story too firmly, because the reality is any little thing can go in a different direction, and if you're always trying to rein those things in, you're going to be ruining the best parts of your story, because those are the opportunities to run with something and create the best part. Those inspiration opportunities, taking Beta to the end and was the best way we could go about it. Taking, for me personally, taking Moodles and running with it to the point where I'm franchising all over the server is taking an idea to its logical conclusion and running with it until it's something extreme and hilarious, and you're just having fun because you don't even know what's the next step is.
I think it's important to write the beginning, and it's important to write the end. If you write the beginning, you know where to start, and if you write the end, you know where to go. And that doesn't mean that you have to stick to that end. That just means that you have direction in the meantime. And by the time you realize, like, oh gosh, we have strayed so far from what the plan was, you change the end to what it.
Absolutely.
And I mean, there is always a to be continued. Look at Jess as a good example with lactose. It was quite literally a joke that we had generated, or he had generated with us, to make us in season 1 be like, well, you're the weird ones. Like, this is my horse, lactose. And now we're here in season 3, and lactose is a horse. And like, these things, like they can hop with us, and they can be constant sources for us to draw back from, despite where our story might twist and turn along the way.
Loose ends are the best, because you can take those loose ends and you can tie them up later, you can work with them, and you can create loose ends on accident. I did a bit with Stowe and Fish yesterday where we said that Stowe was allergic to fish, and that could turn into something crazy down the line, or it could turn into nothing. You really never know.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as I said about like planning my story out quite far, it's all about like story beats as far as I'm concerned. Like, certain things have happened on the season that have changed my story, like Dave over there covering my courthouse in ice, which I'm still bitter about. And that was the perfect way to lead into the next story beat I already had planned. So there's always a way to utilize what's happening on the fly. But also, I think with this season, one thing we're doing that I think works really well is we've got a reasonably good idea for the conclusion of this season. But the idea is that everyone finds their own way to get to that end, as far as we've discussed so far. And I think that's a good way of tying everything together in our own style.
Another thing we're trying this season, and will change up the end in the long run, is that none of us know the end. So we know the direction that the end of the story is going to be in, but because this year we have supporting cast and they've been such a pivotal part of helping us create content, they are designing the final location. So last season we touched on it. We worked on the administration headquarters. We had a lot of help from supporting cast, but this season they're doing it all by themselves. Cast. Yes, that's true. Technically, before I believe it was Elle, Oliver.
Yeah, it was Elle and Oliver.
I don't remember if Stowe.
I can't actually remember if Stowe helped.
But I mean, it was bringing them in to do that brought us the that idea to bring them as a addition to our community on the server, as a non content creators, but people that can be drawn upon by us and populate things more and have those opportunities.
And it also creates an opportunity for ex-content creators to continue playing with their friends.
Absolutely.
Such as my...
But you are
I'm
getting back into streaming, so
I'm getting back into it.
Never say
But
never.
being supporting cast has given me that opportunity to still hang out with my friends and play Minecraft with my friends. And I really appreciate the supporting cast and what the supporting cast have done for the server. And now I'm part of it. Yay!
And we're glad you're a part of it. It would have been really disappointing to not have that opportunity to keep you in our family group here, because you were having just time issues. I mean, I too am having time issues. I completely understand that, and you having a recognition of your limitations and now falling back to streaming when you can. Obviously that's you coming back, which is great. Like, it's great that you're having that opportunity. I think it's wonderful to be able to offer those opportunities for everybody.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, meeting supporting cast with the same standards that we met our cast members and making sure that we balance that has gone really well. Like, we really didn't know where things would go with that, but it has been awesome.
We've got another question from Sir, not inspiration related, but how do you manage your real world responsibilities and finding time to record and edit?
Poorly.
I can field that one really easily.
I don't.
My last episode came out 4 months ago, right? And 4 months ago was about the time that I started going back to university. So I have just finished my first semester and I'm just about ready to put out an episode. That's how I manage my time. I don't. I cross my fingers and pray.
Personally, for me, my major issue is maintaining my health while I go on this journey. And I don't think I did it very well towards the beginning of the season. Hence, 2 pretty long breaks from the server. The way I'm treating it now is that essentially as soon as I feel like I need a break, I take a break. And as soon as my health doesn't feel great, I take a break. And I don't let it bother me anymore. I don't look at this computer going, I should be on there doing stuff. I go with the idea that if I'm maintaining my health, there is better opportunity to do stuff on the server. So that's my balancing act.
Yeah, I can fill in on that. I've been kind of doing the same thing because my IRL work is very demanding and it often leaves me extremely tired when I get home. So sometimes I don't feel like recording or editing or anything. And in the beginning of the season, I kind of forced myself to do it and had a little mini burnout. And then after a while, I started going back into more regular content creation, but still feeling burnt out from IRL stuff. And I feel my quality of content dropped back then. And now I just, like a month ago, realized how I want to take it forward. So managing IRL health and relations and all of that is very important to actually being able to be on here and create the best content you can, is my point of view.
I think the most important part is don't beat yourself up, right? Like, stuff is gonna happen, life is going to happen. And you just need to find a way that works best for you. Back before Autocraft, I was on a different SMP named Timecraft. And I had an upload schedule of 3 videos per week. And it absolutely killed me. There was so much.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is so much. It is such a huge amount. And it was basically just me and somebody else, both on a 3 video a week schedule, and kind of feeling this pressure because I don't want to run behind. And then I started taking it a little bit more easy, and I started making the rule for myself. Okay, I need to upload at least a video a month, and if I can upload more than that, great. If I can't, then oh well, then it's a 1 video a month thing. And for me, it helps to push myself to at least get that video out. And if it's a shorter video, or if it's not as great as the previous one, so be it. Like, I'm not gonna beat myself up about like having a life outside of content creation that needs to, needs to have some attention.
I think the reality is it's always going to be a sliding scale and a balance of pushing yourself to get something done, but also being generous with yourself and realizing that at the end of the day, if you're pushing yourself so hard that you're not enjoying it, you're either going to burn out or you're not going to make it long enough to ever hit any kind of monetization anyways. You really do have to find that balance, and it's an ongoing struggle. It always will be.
Definitely.
Yeah, we used to have somebody on our server that had the rule. After Rusty releases a video, I have 2 weeks to release a video, and it was really unhealthy because my schedule might not work for you, and maybe I have some extra time all of a sudden, and I upload 2 videos a month, and all of a sudden you're like, oh god, oh no, just be kind to yourself.
If you push yourself too hard for the time, then you lose out on opportunities for learning. If you're so worried about getting something out, then you're going to ignore that opportunity to do a really silly bit, or record with somebody, or edit something crazy that might take another week, but could be the thing that makes your content, right, and makes it to where you're happy with it. I'm
in a very, very good position where my schedule and my commitments have made it to where I have been able to take every opportunity that I've been given. I mean, there's a reason why I sit here, even though the way that happened was Ayrton telling me like 25 minutes beforehand, like, hey, what are you doing in 25 minutes?
Surprise guest.
Surprise guest. Ooh, okay.
Well, that's good. I thought I didn't read the notes beforehand because I was very surprised.
Oh no, I was also very surprised. Well, the whole reason why my skin currently is purple is because I'm taking another opportunity where I'm in a charity event. So I'm glad that I can take this opportunity and not feel like I should be doing something in the meantime, because I'm being kind to myself and not pushing myself too hard.
Oh, that's a whole nother side of things. Is there are a lot of other opportunities out there in the Minecraft realm of things that you can do, or collaborations with other people. And yeah, if you're always pushing yourself for that schedule, you're never going to meet new people and open up more opportunities in other realms.
Yeah, I think one important thing to really that I've worked on is differentiating between procrastination and time away from content that I actually need. I'm better at saying to myself, no, you actually need this time, and realizing, no, you're just doing something for the sake of, you don't want to be on your computer working on the next episode, sort of thing. So that's been another big thing for me, because I procrastinate way too much, and I've cut that down to probably 10% of what it used to be.
I really hate that you pointed that out, because I definitely have not sat down and figured that out. So now I have to do that. Thanks.
Sorry. Love you.
Love you too.
Well, I mean, maybe that's going to be our next chats. It could be our next chats topic. How do we keep pushing forward? Especially when you hit that roadblock. I think that that everybody at some stage does hit that that burnout, procrastination block. And we all have very good and very different reasons for it.
Definitely. I think something that we can also discuss in that specific chats is health, as Archie mentioned, both physical and mental health. Because in my experience, I found that especially my mental health greatly affects how I view content creation and how I approach content creation. And if I'm not in a good mental state, everything becomes sort of a chore, including the things I actually like. So I think that could also be something that we can discuss in a chats like that.
I have the feeling that Martin is playing with a warden egg.
I think it's a glow squid egg, and
so
I've been
My
hoping that
hands
it's a
are
glow squid
completely
egg.
empty.
I'm not sure if I'm the
But
only
I
one in
think that,
survival here, but I'm very...
No.
Oh, you're in survival?
No!
Oh, I'm in adventure mode. I'm in adventure mode.
Welcome to Channel 64.
Is it coming for me?
Well,
It's not coming for me. I think we're good.
with that chaos
coming for
now ensuing. Oh, well, I'm in creative, so I'll be fine.
Let me get him. Let me get him.
Chat's planning while chats is happening is so Channel
dear.
64 coded. That is so true, Peep.
It is very challenged, and it feels just right for Martin to bring a warden here, of all places. And I wondered, okay, well, thank you all for joining me today to talk about inspiration. I definitely very much appreciate it. I think that we all do recognize that we draw our inspiration from different places, but we also draw inspiration from a lot of the same places in many times. And I think that knowing that we're all on the same page with that does help for us to push forward. You know, if we're feeling that roadblock, if we're feeling that we need some help, we can often just go and rely on hanging out with friends or wardens. And
How do we TP Rusty here again? I'm trying, but I can't.
we can do that.
We should probably...
Do that. Oh, we got it. Fantastic.
you
I
still in
am
survival?
still in survival.
Well,
I'm just gonna hope
set your spawn.
maybe he's not gonna care.
Yeah, he's not gonna.
okay.
And I think that's probably the end of chats.
Well,
Okay, I can
To-
edit.
to
though.
anybody-
Can we try one more outro?
well, of
Okay.
course, because we haven't actually done an outro. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you have picked us up from YouTube, we do this live on a stage in our Discord. The Discord channel is down below. Do join us for that. Thank you everybody who has been in the Discord asking questions and contributing to our conversation. We appreciate it. We read it all. Sorry if we didn't mention it. We did see it all. Or oh no, dog meat!
Oh no, your dogs!
Oh, my poor little puppy. It's fine. It's fine. But
You deserve that.
all right. Well, thank you all for chatting with us tonight, and love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Love you, bye.